Hi, I'm Jeanne Fiorini. Thanks for being here at the Tarot Tips. Today we're going to talk about some of the diagrammatic cues that we can pick up on that are created into the images of the traditional tarot cards. By that I mean the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck, published around 1912, 1913. So it was a different era. The person who designed the cards, Pamela Colman Smith, was known kind of as a bohemian, not kind of, but pretty much a bohemian of the time. She was involved with the Golden Dawn, and she was a set designer. She worked in the theater and was an illustrator and also did set design for productions. So we can see this sense of positioning, this sense of the figures in the cards telling us something about what's happening in this story. With that in mind, today we're going to talk about two specific cards in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck which don't have any people in them. And out of 78 cards, to me, I always make note of when one or the other of these cards come up, because the lack of a person, 2 out of 78, is pretty significant. It says something about what the card is trying to communicate. So we're going to talk about those two particular cards today. So let's go to the tarot table. Before we get into the description of these two cards, let me also say, for those of you who aren't aware of it, that this little squiggly symbol over here is Pamela Colman Smith's signature. It does show up on every single card, and really up until about the last 10 years, the artist got very little credit and attention for her creativity and the work she did to help make this deck so popular. So with that said, just to restate the idea that even if it's a hand coming out of the sky or an image in the background, every other tarot card in this deck does have a person or a part of a person, a human being. The first card we're going to talk about is this very unpopular Three of Swords. And there's a couple things that are confusing about this card. First of all, when we look at it, we really just see that big red pierced heart. This is a card that in many decks is probably one of the 3 or 4 most gruesome looking cards in the deck. And so when it comes up, people naturally don't like it. So it does have a frightful kind of image. Another thing that's confusing about it is that because of that big red heart, we associate this card with feelings, heart energy. My heart is broken, my heart is pierced, my heart is stuck. And certainly that is true, could be true when this card comes up. But this is a sword card. This is a card that has to do with how we're thinking of things, how we're perceiving things, how we understand things, what we thought was going to happen. And in this card, clearly, what we thought was going to happen is not what it is. So when I talk about this card in tarot class, I always refer to it as a big fat stop sign. This said whatever you thought was going to happen is not. But I always find the shining light in this card is, first of all, that it's a 3 and that it happens fairly early in a process. So like the death card, it's not the final word. It is a place where we have to stop and rethink something. We have to change our perceptions, which is part of the message of the card. But the thing that seems to be, and I find very helpful about this card, is that if something isn't working and if something is not resolving itself in the way that you wanted, this card says to me, it's just the way it is. It's nobody's fault. It's the fly in the ointment. It's a non-personal, there's a flaw in the system, and we were going to have a problem no matter what anybody did. We see this in relationships a lot, where there can be all the love and attraction and all that other stuff in the world, but it just doesn't work out. That's a Three of Swords kind of thing. So there's it's nobody's a no fault kind of aspect in the Three of Swords, that the situation kind of was doomed from the start, whether we saw it or not, and it's okay to just now stop, reassess, reorganize my thoughts around this thing, and move forward. So the lack of a person in this card, I think, is one of the can be a very helpful way to think about something that is hurtful, that is disappointing, that is scary, that is not what we expected. Maybe look at what was the intrinsic nature of the thing that didn't make it viable in the first place, and take the bearing of responsibility off parties involved. The other side of the coin here, in terms of difficulty, where this card is sort of stuck, not sort of, it is stuck. Interestingly, the other card that doesn't have any people in it is a place where nothing is stuck at all, and everything is flowing along beautifully. Eight of Wands. This is a card where all of nature, all the forces are moving in the same direction. There's a sense of ease in this card. There's a sense of, I always think of the cavalry coming to the rescue here. It's like, we're coming, or the wind is at your back. And all you got to do is kind of hang on to the reins and keep riding the horse and go in the direction that the wind is blowing. So the ease in this card really, to me, always says, just lighten up. Follow the path of least resistance. Make it easier on yourself. What seems to want to happen here? What would be the most logical course of action, or the next easy step to take? The Eight of Wands always says to me that the forces are on your side. External circumstances are open and paving a pathway for you to move forward in whatever way is your intention. And so all you have to do is get on the train. Things will unfold in a way that will take you somewhere. I always feel positive about this card, that not that the universe is a positive, benign force, but that let me just sort of backtrack on that a little bit. I don't think that the universe is here to give us everything that we want, but this card indicates that there's an alignment between my energy and the energy that's around me that can help make things very easy and smooth and maybe happen quickly for me. So no people really takes the personality out of it. It takes the ego agenda out of it and says, pay attention to why something doesn't work. And with this one, pay attention to what might work, what seems to be easy, what seems to want to just flow. So I hope those ideas help you as you're working with your cards. And certainly if they both come up together, I would really just, as the expression goes, take my hands off the wheel and just see what happens. Not literally, figuratively. All right, the tarot communicates with us in such specific ways by the pictures, and I hope that this helps you as you move forward. Thanks for being here. We're going to talk about more diagrammatic images in the next couple of videos. So we'll see you next time.